Welcome back, everyone, to the Wedge 52 Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Wedge. Today's episode will be every team's quarterback situation as we head into the NFL free agency window that opens up Wednesday at 4 p.m. next Wednesday, 8 days from now. I'll take a look at every single quarterback situation and kind of give a quick explanation of what I think each team should do, as well as, the teams that are solid and ready to go. Before we jump in today, please make sure you press that follow button right here on Spotify, as well as on Twitter/X and Instagram as we get this 2024 offseason underway. Leading off in this episode, the top 5 names who I think are currently the free agent quarterbacks. Just kind of a quick look, not really doing, an in-depth dive, but just kind of, initial reaction to, a couple of clips as well as stats and situations they were placed in upon last year. My number 1 free agent quarterback ranking, Kirk Cousins. At number 2, Baker Mayfield. Number 3, Russell Wilson, who the Broncos announced they will be releasing at the start of the new league year. So he'll be a free agent. And then kind of after that, a little bit of a drop-off at 4 or 5, just off rip. I have Joe Flacco and Josh Dobbs. Not really sold on either of them being a starter. Another guy potentially could be in that top 5 range, Gardner Minshew. Then looking at the rookie quarterback options, 6 potential guys to go in the first round. I have not looked, in depth at any of these guys. These guys are in no order particularly from myself here, but 6 potential guys that can maybe go round 1. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jane Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, a couple of those guys, a much bigger lock for that first-round draft selection than others. But let's jump in with every single team's quarterback situation, starting off with last year's most valuable player. The Baltimore Ravens have Lamar Jackson. They are set there. Cincinnati Bengals have Joe Burrow. They are also set there. Cleveland Browns, it's going to kind of have to be Deshaun Watson. They're kind of being forced into that with their fully guaranteed contract that they offered to him. Last year, Deshaun Watson played in 6 games. He went 5-1 as a starter, 1,115 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on 61.4% completion percentage. So not crazy good numbers, 7-4, in 6 games. Not to my surprise, did not look like vintage Houston Texans Deshaun Watson, but they're kind of strapped in with that fully guaranteed contract that they offered him. I believe they owe him $46 million this year and next, as well as, potentially another third year after that, I believe. So they're kind of locked there, whether they want to be or not. If he doesn't perform well, that's going to be a very, very troubling situation for the Cleveland Browns. They do currently have Dorian Thompson-Robinson as a backup. UCLA rookie last year, I believe. It's a tough situation for the Browns for them to be in. Looking at the Steelers, they have Kenny Pickett, who last year had 2,000 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 62% for a quarterback record of 7-5 as the starter. They had Trubisky, who they released, and they have Mason Rudolph, who is currently a free agent, but he did play for them last year. 719 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 74.3% completion percentage, and a 3-0 record for Mason Rudolph last year, who did play pretty well, given the situation in Pittsburgh. He is, however, a free agent as of right now. Amidst speculation early on, it's kind of died out. Perhaps the Steelers have, kind of laid off in the quarterback. There's rumors they're looking for guys to trade for, Fields, Russell Wilson before, he got announced to get cut, or potentially, signing a guy like Kirk Cousins, or potentially drafting a quarterback. Kind of seems like they might be shutting those rumors down right now and be riding with Kenny Pickett. I don't think this is a solid choice. Kenny Pickett has put up, horrible numbers throughout his career so far. I don't think he's a solution. They are, I think, going to let him try it out under new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. They do hold the 20th pick overall in the 2024 NFL draft right now. So probably not going to be able to get one of those big 3 names like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, potentially, have a shot at one of those other three guys I listed. Those are just, kind of the potential first-round guys. But interesting for them and see how that develops this offseason. Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen. He's locked in. Miami Dolphins have Tua Tagovailoa. He's locked in as a starter. Jets have Aaron Rodgers. He should be coming back. He should be healthy and be a lock for this upcoming season. They signed him, to make them contenders in the AFC. He, unfortunately for him and the Jets, got hurt at the beginning of last season, like first drive in. He should be back and healthy. And they do have Zach Wilson as a backup who, is not your spectacular quarterback, but did look to improve in some areas last season. And then New England Patriots in that division. Mac Jones last year, 2,210 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 64.9%, 2-9 record. Bailey Zappi, 1,272 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, 59.9 completion percentage, and a 2-4 record. The New England Patriots currently hold the 3rd overall pick. They need to draft a quarterback with that pick. They are starting a new, kind of era in New England after Belichick's been let go. Gerard Mayo came in as a new head coach, as well as hiring Alex Van Pelt as offensive coordinator. He formerly served as the Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator. Definitely look for the New England Patriots to be drafting a quarterback number 3 overall. The Texans have now second-year quarterback C.J. Stroud. He's locked in as a starter. Incredible rookie season, rookie of the year. Took the Texans to the playoffs and actually won a game in the playoffs as a rookie. So great season by him. He's definitely locked in. Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence. He should be locked in, coming back, battling some injuries last season towards the end there. But he should be locked in for the Jaguars. Then the Indianapolis Colts have Anthony Richardson. He's coming back off a shoulder injury. He should be good to go. In just 4 games, he went 2-2, 577 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception on 59.5% completion percentage, as well as 136 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Anthony Richardson did look like, potential to be that long-term starter. Definitely looked good in those 4 games. He played for the Indianapolis Colts. Possible vet backup signing for them. A couple of names potentially that I wouldn't be surprised if they signed kind of as a backup / mentor for Anthony Richardson. Minshew is a free agent, but, kind of semi-mobile kind of guy like Tyler Huntley, Jacoby Brissett, maybe Tyrod Taylor, Josh Dobbs. So wouldn't be surprised to see the Colts picking up a backup caliber guy, but Anthony Richardson should be the starter. Then Tennessee Titans, they have Will Levis. It's kind of looking like they're going to ride it out. They haven't expressed too much rumors or interest in rookie quarterbacks. Levis will just be coming into his second year. Looked solid throughout his rookie year. 3-6 record as a starter. 1,808 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions on 58.4% completion percentage. So definitely some room for improvement and definitely areas of concern for Will Levis, but not enough to panic after one season, I believe, for them. As well, potentially a possible vet backup signing, kind of help mentor and coach Will Levis. Possible names, Drew Lock, Mitch Trubisky, Tyrod Taylor, or Carson Wentz, player of that nature, to come in and help Will Levis learn and improve. Moving to the defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs have defending Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes. He is obviously a lock at a starter as the best quarterback in the National Football League. Chargers have Justin Herbert. He's locked in there. Denver Broncos are cutting Russell Wilson as soon as the new league year, starts here on March 13th, I believe that is, next Wednesday. So he'll be cut. However, they are facing an $85 million cap hit over the next 2 years. They're no option but to take that cap hit. I believe it's like $39 million and $34 million, somewhere around there over the next 2 years, which doesn't really leave them with room to sign a caliber of quarterback that's going to make a difference for that Denver Broncos team, i.e. Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, one of those couple of guys. Not really sure. Justin Fields, potentially a trade candidate for the Broncos. Not really sure if they have the pieces there to move around with that. But I suggest they draft a quarterback. They have the 12th overall pick. I believe, the weapons are kind of there. They have the potential to be there. I think drafting a quarterback for the Broncos is kind of their best option. They don't have the cap space, like I mentioned, for a big name quarterback that's going to make a difference, unless they want to, get that mid-range quarterback, kind of ride it out for 2 years till the cap hits go away and then start over. But if you're going to start over at the quarterback position specifically, you might as well just start it now, get it done with. I suggest the Denver Broncos draft a quarterback at 12. Going into the Raiders situation, Jimmy Garoppolo last year was kind of injured, has one more year on his contract. He had 1,205 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Doesn't look like the guy. Don't think they brought him in to be the long-term guy with only a 2-year deal for them. Rookie Aiden O'Connell did perform, relatively well, being that rookie later round selection, I believe. 2,218 passing yards, 12 passing touchdowns, and 7 interceptions on 62.1% completion percentage, and went 5-5 for the Raiders as a starter. Potentially for them, trade for a guy like Justin Fields. I believe they have the cap space. I forgot to look, to be honest with you, but I believe they have the cap space to sign a potential guy like Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, one of those guys that's going to make a difference right away and can give you that production. Russell Wilson probably won't want to go there just being in the same division. But also, he might do it just because of that. However, they do have the 13th overall pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they go either way in drafting or signing a good level Kirk Cousins or Baker Mayfield in that kind of contract there. And that wraps it up for the AFC. Now heading over to the NFC, the Detroit Lions have Jared Goff. He's locked in there as the starter. Packers have Jordan Love, who's locked in there as a starter. Had a very good year, his first full year as a starter. Outperformed a lot of people's expectations, definitely outperformed my expectations. They made it to the playoffs, beat the Cowboys, almost beat the 49ers. So Jordan Love, definitely their guy locked in there. And then now into the Chicago Bears. Like I've mentioned a few times already, Justin Fields has been, Bears hold the number 1 overall pick. A lot of people think Caleb Williams is pretty much locked in at that number 1 pick. And now the question comes down to, do the Bears feel they need a quarterback or what do they do with that quarterback situation? Last year, Fields had 2,562 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, passing 61.4% completion percentage, 5-8 record, as well as 657 yards rushing and 4 rushing touchdowns. To be honest, I don't think Fields is their biggest problem. Last year, he was the 5th most sacked quarterback in the league for the Chicago Bears there. I believe he was sacked like 44, 45 times, something like that. Definitely, you can't be putting that on Justin Fields when he's running around for his life. Is he the next coming, superstar quarterback? I don't quite think so, but I don't think he's the major problem. And I believe he deserves a truer shot at building some pieces up around him, potentially in that offensive line. That might help him a lot, just gain some confidence and be able to sit back there and actually look at his reads a little bit more. But in his, career, every single season, his yards have gone up, his completion percentage has gone up, and his interception percentage have gone down every single season. 3 years, I believe, in the league for him there. And he does provide that dual threat capabilities, obviously at 1,000 yards rushing 2 seasons ago. He does provide that dual threat quarterback, play that many teams are actually starting to look for now. I don't think Fields is the problem. I think the Bears just set up their franchise maybe longer, better off over the next 3, 4, 5 years. I would probably suggest the Bears trade back, maybe draft an offensive tackle. It's a very loaded offensive tackle class. Maybe draft an offensive tackle with that, trade back pick. We'll see what happens. It's definitely probably, the number 1 news, cycle, spur, whatever you want to call it, up until this draft. That's going to be taking place in late April. And then for the Miami Vikings, Kirk Cousins, he is a free agent last season in 8 games before tearing his Achilles. He had 2,331 passing yards, 18 passing touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions on 69.5% completion percentage. I believe the number 1 priority for the Minnesota Vikings is to be re-signing Kirk Cousins. Miami Vikings, their window a little bit is kind of right now. Justin Jefferson, it's his last year on his rookie deal. He'll be playing fifth year here. Potential extension for him. He is going to, probably be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, deservingly so. When that contract extension does hit, whether that be this offseason, during the season, or after next season, we will see. As well as they have rookie weapons in Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, who they've signed to an extension at that tight end position. I believe their window is now. I think Kirk Cousins gives them the best, opportunity at that. He's dialed in. He knows his system. Very good quarterback in his career. Hasn't won a lot of those bigger games, but, I believe Kirk Cousins potentially the best option for the Vikings in that window, especially if Justin Jefferson does not re-sign or sign that extension with the Minnesota Vikings. If they aren't able to get Kirk Cousins, I think they have to go after Russell Wilson or Baker Mayfield, next two highest options in the free agent quarterback market to potentially make a playoff run this season with Jettas or, the next couple of years with their younger stud weapons in the wide receiver and tight end positions. If not, one of those free agent quarterbacks, if not Kirk Cousins, they do hold the 11th overall pick. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with that if they don't sign a free agent quarterback. Moving into the Eagles, they have Jalen Hurts. He's locked in. Dallas Cowboys have Dak Prescott. He's locked in. New York Giants have Daniel Jones. Last year, he got injured. After playing 6 games, he went 1-5. He had 909 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in just 6 games. 67.5% completion percentage. Not good numbers. He signed a 4-year, $160 million deal not too long ago with $92 million guaranteed. I believe that was last offseason. I think it's time they send it on a full rebuild, eat the bullet on the contract for Daniel Jones. They don't really have weapons around him, so there's no sense in, kind of playing around with it, seeing if Jones can turn it around. They don't have, many weapons. They have Darren Waller, who hasn't been the same in a few years. Saquon Barkley's now a free agent, has potential to go back there, but is currently a free agent. They have rookie wide receiver Jalen Hyatt last year. I believe they have Darius Slayton. But, no big weapons, that's going to be difference maker kind of weapons for Daniel Jones. I say they start the rebuild now, eat the bullet on the contract. Maybe Jones can potentially still be a starter / mentor. But I believe the Giants should pick a quarterback number 6 overall and, start that process of getting him adapted, getting him some reps, maybe in some less pressure to win situations, and kind of start from there. And then looking at the Commanders, Sam Howell, last season, 3,946 yards, 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 63.4% completion percentage, 4-13 record as a starter, as well as 263 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Last season, he was the most sacked quarterback. I believe he got sacked 65 times. The Commanders currently hold the 2nd overall pick. In the 2nd round, they also hold the 35th and 40th overall pick. Based on, kind of how things are looking right now, it's kind of looking like they draft a quarterback. Me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing them trade back from that, 2nd overall pick. Maybe drafting a wide receiver. They have Terry McLaurin, who's very good. I believe Jahan Dotson is still under contract, but Curtis Samuel is a free agent. So potentially if he can't re-sign, maybe draft a wide receiver, trade back in that mid-teens to 20s range, maybe draft a wide receiver for the Commanders. That could help build kind of, a little bit of weapon help with him there, with Terry McLaurin and that receiver. Or also offensive tackle. I believe, if they trade back and have, a 15 to 25 pick, as well as a 35 and a 40, I believe they draft. I believe the Commanders' best option there is to be drafting 2 offensive linemen, one of them being a tackle at least, as well as a wide receiver there. That might actually help Sam Howell out. Has the ability, to hit his targets, almost 4,000 passing yards while being sacked the most in the league. Has potential there. High on the interceptions numbers, obviously. But, part of that is the Commanders playing from behind a lot. Forcing throws, kind of like Jameis Winston's 30-30 season, or even a little bit like, Josh Allen, especially in his couple early seasons, kind of make big plays. when he doesn't need to, just because of the lack of help around him. So that's what I think the Commanders would do. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a quarterback number 2, but I believe they should trade back, and then in those 3 top 40 picks, 2 offensive linemen and a wide receiver would better suit them off rather than trying to rebuild with a new quarterback. Moving to the Panthers, Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick last year. They don't have a first-round pick this year, so kind of by default, he's a lock for them. Last season, he had 2,877 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 59.8% completion percentage on a 2-14 record. Not much else, kind of really say about that. They're kind of stuck with him. He's entering year 2. Didn't have a horrendous season. Moving on, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield is a free agent last year. Had a full resurgence, 4,044 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on 64.3% completion percentage, 9-8 record, including a playoff win for Baker Mayfield and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers need to re-sign Baker Mayfield. If not, they need to get a trustworthy vet in Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, one of those top-tier guys that can, is going to produce or have the ability to produce right away, not really take a chance on a rookie. At this point, they kind of have a nice little window right now. They got Mike Evans just re-signed, Chris Godwin still under contract, Rachaad White still under contract. I think Baker would probably be their best option. Solid offensive line there. I think the Buccaneers should re-sign Baker after, what he did for their franchise and his personal career last season. The Saints have Derek Carr, kind of looking like a lock. They don't really have, the draft position to draft a, day 1 quarterback. Last year, Derek Carr played very banged up with a couple of different injuries. 3,878 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, 68.4% completion percentage, and a 9-8 record. Not bad for Derek Carr. I think the Saints ride it out with him. The Falcons, Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke last year. Neither one of them really, performed at all. Ridder, 2,836 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 64.2% completion, 6-7 record, 193 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. Was definitely the better of the 2. Taylor Heineke, 890 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 54.5% completion, and 1-3 record. Ridder, definitely the better of the 2. I don't think he's the option. I don't think he's the answer for them there. Falcons hold the 8th overall pick. I suggest they draft a quarterback, continue to build that young offensive roster. They have Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. They have the young core roster already there. I think they retry at the quarterback position and continue on from there for the Atlanta Falcons. Their defense was, mid to I'd probably say 16 to 10-ish, 18 to 10-ish range for most of last season. So defense is solid there if they can make, some adjustments at that quarterback position. Then looking at the last division, the 49ers have Brock Purdy. He's a lock for them. Obviously took them to the Super Bowl. Rams, Matthew Stafford. He's a lock there. Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I've been in support of Kyler Murray. I think he showed up good enough after coming back from his ACL injury. 1,799 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 65.7% completion percentage, 3-5 record, 244 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think he performed well enough to, get another chance at another full season. And I believe the Cardinals head coaching, as well as their social media, has said that they are sticking with him as well. They do, however, hold the 4th and 27th overall picks in that first round. A lot of people have Arizona Cardinals drafting wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 overall. I think that'd be a very good pick for them. Get Kyler Murray a nice big weapon there. Marquise Brown is currently a free agent, so if he goes, getting Marvin Harrison Jr. in replacement for Kyler Murray would definitely be a big helping factor for him to continue on. Then the Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, 3,624 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 64.7% completion, 8-7 record. A lot of, I think Geno obviously didn't perform at his Pro Bowl level from 2 years ago. Potentially, I think, comeback player of the year. I believe 99% sure he won comeback player of the year 2 years ago. Not playing up to those levels, but still performed solid with them. They got a new coaching staff, new head coach Mike McDonald. I think they have to ride it out with Geno Smith. They held the 16th overall pick. There's kind of a lot of teams in front of them that need a quarterback. So I think they ride it out with Geno Smith right now and continue on with him there in Seattle. So those are my thoughts on every single team in the NFL's quarterback situation, as well as what I think each team should do in this upcoming 2024 offseason. Thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, please make sure you press that follow button right here on Spotify, as well as on Twitter/X and Instagram, to make sure you stay up to date on all things Wedge 52 Gridiron happening in this offseason. Thank you, and most importantly, go Ravens.